Welcome to Computer Club. Today we're going to learn how to create a Pac-Man game. First thing I'm going to do is create a name up here, Pac-Man, and I'm going to put my name, Mr. Robson. Oops. I'm going to get rid of scratch, so I'm just going to use the scissors up here to pop scratch away, and I'm going to create a new sprite down here. First sprite I'm going to create is a Pac-Man sprite. I'm just going to use the circle. I'm going to choose a color. I will choose blue. Create a circle for Pac-Man to get it as close to a perfect circle as I can. I need to fill that in. I could have done it initially. There we go. Now I'm going to duplicate this costume by right-clicking and duplicating. What I need to do to this duplicate costume is create a little mouth for Pac-Man. I'm going to change the color. I need a straight line tool. I'm going to take it in like this on an angle. And then I'm going to create another straight line coming out like this. Make sure those lines are touching. Then I am going to use the fill tool, and I'm going to fill it with transparent fill so you can see right through it. I'm going to fill that part first and then the black line. It's not perfect, but that's going to do the trick for what I want. I'm going to rename this sprite now Pac-Man, where it says Sprite 1. And now I need to create another costume, which is going to be called Ghost. So I'm going to click on the Paint New Sprite. I'm going to use a circle tool again and a different color this time. I might use a golden color for the ghost, and I'm going to create a sort of oval shape. I'm going to fill that again, and then I'm going to use this tool here, a select tool, to select the bottom part and just click delete to delete that off. Then I am going to use the paintbrush and again the transparent tool just to paint some little ghosty bits at the bottom to give it that look of the Pac-Man ghost. Lastly, I'm going to create some eyeballs. So I'm going to use this color. I'm actually going to use the full fill this time. And to start off with, we're going to use white and one eyeball here. I can copy that, Control C and Control V to paste it. There. And then I'm going to create a pupil in that eye with the black color. And the circle tool again, make sure it's a full circle. One like that. I'm going to move that into the eye. And again, I'm going to go Control V, Control P to paste. And then move another one up into there. That looks really good. Happy with that. So now we have a ghost and a Pac-Man. That's the first stage. So I'm going to rename this to Ghost. I'm going to make it Ghost 1. So you might like to pause this video and create your own Pac-Man and your own Ghost. You can rewind it if you need to. The next stage is creating the code to go with this, and possibly the most important code. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make this Pac-Man sprite, we're going to make it move. So first we're going to click on the script area, go to the events, get the green flag to get things started. We are going to use the show command just to make sure our Pac-Man is visible at the starting point. I'm going to send the Pac-Man to this part of the screen, which is the entry point where it will restart each time. So to do that, I'll move it there first, then I will go to motion, then I will click go to X minus 205 and Y 104. Just to be sure that's going to work, I can move the Pac-Man and then click on the block. and there we go, it moves to the right place. Also, I could move it again and click the start flag. There we go. That's working so far, so good. Now I need to get the Pacman. I want him to follow my mouse pointer to give him motion. So I'm going to want him to do that all the time. So a clue to an all the time type of block is what we call our forever block, which creates what we call a loop. So now I would like to use an if else command, and we'll explain what the else part is. The else part is actually going to be the movement part, which is going to be, it's going to do two things. Firstly, it's going to point towards the mouse pointer, point in the direction, point towards mouse pointer. See how that works. If I click on that and move it, you'll get an idea. Right, if I had that in a forever loop, then we could see what it does. Let's try it. Okay, so it's pointing towards the mouse pointer. Where we move it to, it will point towards us. That's good. Move it back into here. But, oops, we've got to move these blocks around. So I'm going to put this inside here, move that up to there. So we're going to say else point towards, and we're going to give it some, we've got to make it move a certain amount of steps to make it move in any direction other than just pointing. So we're going to make this 2, actually we'll make this 5 steps. Now it's going to be moving 5 steps towards the mouse pointer. But this is what happens when it touches, and we don't want that to happen. That's why we're using this if else command. So we're going to say if touching mouse pointer, which is under sensors, if touching mouse pointer, we want it to stop. Think about how you could do that through motion. If it's moving 10 steps, that's not going to do it. What about if we make it move 0 steps? So its motion is 0. Let's try that. So when the Pacman touches the mouse pointer, it should, in theory, stop. It does, but we have a few issues with that. Touching mouse pointer moves 0 steps. Why is it shaking still? Let's have a look. Could be to do with the actual costume itself, so let's put that at the center. Let's try and do the same with that. See what that does, if it makes any difference. That's better. It's a bit tricky, but you should be able to work it out. Now we got it stopping. Excellent. Press stop. Move our Pacman here. Right, so we've got our Pacman moving. Oh, one thing it's not doing, it's not opening and closing its mouth like we want it to do. So I think that needs to be our next step. So let's get another start block. Again, we want it to do it the whole time. So we're going to create a forever loop of opening and closing its mouth. And opening and closing its mouth is created by just switching from one costume to another costume. So how do we do that? We go to looks, and there's a command that says next costume. Pop that in, see what that does. Okay, that works, but we'd like to slow that down. So if you could think about a way of slowing that down, we can use a wait command in there. But we're not going to get it to wait 1 second. We're going to try 0.2 a second. Has worked for me before, so I'm going to try that. Let's see how that goes. Not too bad. I think I'll stick with that for now. Right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on the ghost, and we're going to get that ghost moving. And the ghost is the Pacman's enemy, so we want the ghost moving towards the Pacman and chasing him down. So how are we going to do that? We'll start with the good old start block again, and we're going to use I'm just going to bring some commands where we use the look block to say show again. We'll bring that in. Where is it gone? There it is. Snap that in. We're going to start the Pacman in the very center. So we're going to set that position to go to 0, 0. And then we are going to use the forever block. Here we go. And we want the Pacman to follow the ghost to hunt the Pacman down. So we want it to point towards. See if we can find the point towards block. Point towards Pacman. That's it. So now let's see what happens. Okay, it's sort of ghostly following us around, pointing towards us. Can you guess what block we have missed out here? If you guessed it is the emotion block, you're correct. And I would suggest we use a motion block of, say, we're going to try 2 steps. If we did more than 2 steps, it might just be a bit fast catching up to our Pacman. Ooh, there we go. So what happens when it catches with our Pacman? Oh, a bit of craziness goes on, but generally nothing much. So what we want it to do though is we want our Pacman to disappear and reappear over here, and we'd like to send our ghost back to the home, which is in the center. That is our next big task. So let's have a look. I think we'll start with our Pacman, and we're going to say start with another start block, and we're going to need a forever loop for this as well. And we're going to say if touching the ghost, because that's what we want. So if forever, if sensing is where we find touching, we choose the ghost one. So if touching ghost one, we want our Pacman to firstly disappear. Go to looks and we go to hide. We want it to go to the location that it started at. So we're going to have to change that manually. We'll put in -205 and we'll put in 104. To 104. Then we want it to pause for a bit there. So how are we going to do that? We're going to use the control wait command. We're going to get it to wait for 1 second, and then we're going to get it to show. Let's see what that does. Oh, there it is. You'll notice it sort of reappears in random locations because it's still following us. So we have to adjust that code a little bit. How we're going to do that, click back on our Pacman here, is we're going to get it to go back to the location, this location. So I'm going to duplicate that before it shows. So we're going to wait a second, we're going to hide, we're going to go to that location, we're going to wait, we're going to go back to that location, then show. See what that does. Oh, here it goes. But we need to get that ghost to go back also, so that's the next step. So stop that, because otherwise the ghost is going to catch us each time and make it too easy for the ghost. While I'm thinking about this, I'm going to reduce the size of each sprite with a command at the very beginning as well. There's a set size function here that we can add to our Pacman, and I'm going to make it 75%. See what that does. Reduce the size a wee bit, and I'm going to do the same to the ghost. So I can click on the ghost, and I'm going to find that size, set size again, and I'm going to make that 75 as well, just to make it a little bit smaller and give us more space to move around. Let's have a look at that. Yep, that is more of the size that I'm looking for. Right, having done that, we want that ghost to go back to the center and disappear just like we did with the Pacman. So let's try that. In fact, we're going to introduce something different here. We're going to introduce a command called caught. And we do this by using a thing called broadcast. We're going to say broadcast. You can find where the broadcasting is. Where's the broadcasting? Under events. Broadcast a message. And we're going to, our message is going to be caught, because that means the ghost has caught the Pacman. Oops. Okay. And we're going to put that in as soon as it touches. So when touching the ghost, going to pop it. We can pop it after hide. It's going to broadcast caught. Now, we'll see why this makes it a little bit easier to do our code for the ghost. We can then use this one when we receive caught, because it's broadcasting it to all the sprites, a message caught. So when it receives the caught message, it is going to do the same thing as the ghost. This Pacman, it's going to go back to its position it started at. It's going to hide as well. It's going to go to 0, 0. And it's going to do the same thing. Wait, or we better duplicate that because we know we're going to need that in a minute. It's going to control, it's going to wait a second. It's going to go back to 0, 0. Then it's going to show and start again. Let's see how that works. Let's press play and have a go. Right, Pacman's getting closer. Boom. Okay, that's it. And the ghost did go back to the center, and the Pacman did go back to his starting position. That's what we're looking for. Gee, that ghost is fast. We might want to slow that ghost down a little bit. You can work out how to do that on yours. Okay, now we're up to the exciting part where we can add in a score. To do that, we're going to click on data, and we're going to make, or data, and we're going to make a variable called actually not score, we're going to actually make a variable called lives. And we want it for the Pacman sprite. So I'm just going to click back to the Pacman sprite and make a variable called lives. I'm just going to make it for that sprite because it's the lives of the Pacman. Click OK. Now we need to go back to that broadcast again, because when we get touched, we're going to broadcast caught. So when we receive caught, we can change the score. Let's go back up to here. We're going to also set the lives to what we want to set the lives to. Let's do that at the very beginning code. Move it up to there and set the lives to say 4 at the very start of the game. Oh, not 40, that would be crazy. 4, and we're going to say when receiving caught, we're going to change the lives. And what do you think you'd change the lives by? If you change it by 1, it would get bigger, so we want the lives to go down. So we can go -1. Let's see what happens now. Click, go, here we go, Pacman. Oh, 3, 2, 1, 0 lives. Oh, we don't want it to go into -1 lives, so we've got to do something about that as well. So we're going to make another little piece of code that is going to control that, and we're going to need a forever to check what it is each time. We're going to pull over an if command from from control, we're going to go if. What we're going to say is we can say if ever lives are equal to 0, then stop. We want the whole game to stop because that is game over. To do that, we're going to use the operators. We're going to use the equals sign, drag it into here. We're going to go back to our variable lives. We're going to pull the lives across and put it into that operator. Make sure it snaps in there. And we're going to make this lives equal to 0. I'm going to find the command, I think it's under events, that will stop, or it's under control actually, that will stop all. We could even broadcast game over and have something happen there as well, but that's for another time. Let's see how that now goes. So we've got 4 lives, we've got 3 lives, we've got 2 lives, we've got 1 life, we've got 0 lives, and the game has stopped. And that's where our tutorial will end for today.